We've had a 1,600% year-on-year growth.
Yes.
And we have gone Krumbled Foods started. We launched a product, it flopped. Things didn't go right from the get-go. Been to the point where, okay, well, I might have to go get another job. We decided to go all in. We decided to give ourselves 2 years of like aggressive growth in terms of working our asses off. Had financial hardship.
Yeah.
And now, 8-figure business. Having a brand that represents a beautiful experience and beautiful journey for someone as a customer is really important to me. And having something that visually stands out on shelf.
From what you thought business was to what you now know it is, what's the key things that are different?
Ooh. I am a very determined person, and I've been told that I've had that since I was born. Recently been diagnosed with ADHD, and I look back at my academic side of things, and it wasn't until I became in the right environment, I got into the right environment, that I actually thrived. I came up with the idea to start Hydra Mama when I was pregnant with my son. The amount of people that it's helped, I want others to not ever endure what I've gone through.
Why is it important that you want to see this change in other people?
Oh.
Welcome to Chew the Fat. I'm absolutely obsessed with high performance and business. So I sit down with incredible guests and we talk about what it takes to be at the top. This is part of my mission to raise $1 million for children's cancer by running a cookbook called Eat with Purpose. I've got one ask for you. Share the content. The bigger the audience, the bigger the impact. Let's get stuck in. Keira, as you know, part of my mission to raise $1 million for Children's Cancer Institute is to write a cookbook called Eat with Purpose. And so every time for the Chew the Fat, we have a meal. And today you've asked for a cheese toastie.
I have.
And I said to you, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to have a chicken salad because I'm off the carbs for lunch. And so this is new for everybody.
Yep.
But the first question I have for you as we tuck in is if you think back to the first thing comes to your mind, like the most special moment that you were eating something.
Yep.
Where are we?
Instantly in my grandma's garden in Katoomba, picking raspberries.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's just the best memory with her.
What do you feel when you think about it?
I can just taste it straight away, and so much love.
Oh, love that. Now we'll have a little couple of bites and we'll get stuck into the interview. Let's go.
Keira Rumble, CEO and co-founder of many brands, which we'll get into today. Welcome to Chew the Fat.
Thank you for having me.
So where I'd love to start for the audience is bring me back to, I guess, those pivotal moments in your childhood. Like, what are the things that you think shaped you to the person you are today?
Oh, okay, we're going to childhood. I am a very determined person, and I've been told that I've had that since I was born. I was walking at 6 months.
No.
And running at 7 months. I would run off the coffee table, and Mum had to take me to chiros and doctors to make sure that my legs weren't going to be, compromised. So I think from the outset, I've just been a little go-getter. I don't handle no very well, and I always try and find, okay, but what if we did this? So I think that's really shaped everything.
And what does that look like as a young little whippersnapper? Give me an early memory of like a no, and I will make a pathway forward here.
Oh, I think I was really competitive with my sport. So I did swimming, I did skiing, I did hockey, soccer. I just think I threw myself into what I was good at. And if I wasn't necessarily good at it, I would just train really hard to become good at it.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
That's going to help in business a lot.
Yeah, and I look back, and I've recently been diagnosed with ADHD. And I look back at my academic side of things, and it wasn't until I became in the right environment, I got into the right environment, that I actually thrived. And it just really goes to show you that it's not necessarily about how you apply yourself, it's the environment too.
I resonate with that a lot because I, for all those punters out there that remember a UAI, whatever, score for high school, mine was 55 and the mystery mark was like 49.
Yep.
So it was like I barely scraped through. However, when it came to food, hospitality, food tech, advanced food tech, crushed it.
Yeah.
Like 97, because I could just sit there and just like, I'm chopping onions all day.
Yeah, and it's artistic too, but it's like putting yourself to a task and you can do it.
And share with the audience, like, I said multiple brands because there's not many people I sit down with and there's like 3 successful things. Share with me, like, what are those? And give, I guess, an insight for the audience, like, what is it that you do in those spaces?
Well, I guess it's good insight into my ADHD brain because 3 businesses, I just get not bored, but I, see another opportunity. But it all comes down to my life cycle, and these brands are created based off something that I've gone through. So when I was in my early 20s, I was diagnosed with as pre-diabetic, and I went to the supermarkets and I applied myself, and I was a big foodie, but then, I became addicted to sugar. I was exhausted all the time, and I finally got diagnosed. And overnight I was like, okay, I'm going to change the way I'm eating. I'm going to research. I'm going to study nutrition. And I realized that I couldn't find anything that was actually healthy. So that was when in the supermarket in terms of snacks. So then that's when I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. And so I think that's really, set me up for all of the businesses, because they've all kind of flown in terms of what I go through.
It's interesting that you say that, because I was just the person you walked past earlier was my brother.
Yep.
And we were doing an episode today, and we were talking about market validation and like how do you go about deciding the product. And one of the key things we said is like, okay, if you don't have necessarily an idea around, okay, this is the thing I'm going to do, is like, what are problems that you have in terms of like whether it be a problem in a job, or you've identified a problem that you're like, I want this thing. And that's a really good place to start, because you're like, if I can at least make a customer of one, I'm sure there'll be other people like me. But please share us with the names of these businesses.
Yes. So we've got Krumbled Foods. So obviously play on words. Keira Rumble, Krumbled.
Perfect.
And that was really my first baby. I started hand rolling protein balls in my Bondi apartment.
No.
I was working full time. I was doing deliveries to cafes. I went from 0 to 60 cafes in a matter of weeks.
No way.
Cold calling, which is my idea of hell.
Yeah.
Into these cafes saying, taste the product. It was very much when protein balls were a big thing.
Totally.
And, it then got to the point where I had to quit my full-time job. And I knew that I'd always wanted to work for myself. My dad has been self-employed. He's had his own businesses. And what I was doing just wasn't really serving me, but it was, serving a purpose for that time. And the whole idea to commercialize a product sort of was born when I was spending hours and hours rolling protein balls, and it was just too much. So Krumbled Foods started. We launched a product. It flopped. I pulled it.
What was the product?
They were called Crumbles.
Yeah, right. Yeah. 1 second. She's pretty good, eh? Follow the podcast, please.
Yes.
So again, another play on words. Things didn't go right from the get-go.
Share me that, because I think what I'm really passionate about is this concept of survivorship bias, which is we focus on the winners, and a lot of the lessons come from the losing.
We've had so many lessons.
The hypothetical losing, but you stay in the game and you're winning. So share with me, what is it that you learned that you did wrong that you could then roll over?
So many things, and I think that really the growth that we've had and the success that we have had, it's not from an overnight success. And it's 10 years since I was rolling those protein balls. I thought that people could do it better than me. So I hired brokers that would go out. And the reality is no one can sell your product and your brand as well as you can. And I learned that the hard way. We rushed to market with a product I wasn't super happy with. I was happy with it, but I knew that it could be better.
What specifically?
Just the texture and, the manufacturer that we're using, and it just didn't feel right, and the margins were off, and it just was never going to work. And my partner and I, who own the business together, we just sort of looked at each other going, we need to pull it. And at the time we were looking at trends, and I was drinking a lot of collagen and consuming a lot of collagen. So we went to market with Beauty Bites, which has been, our OG product. It's still around. We were in Coles. We're now in Chemist Warehouse. So we've been in all, the big major retailers. And now we're just really focusing on e-com for all of the businesses really. But we went through hell and back. I went to the Supreme Court. I spent $500,000 on legal fees.
No way. Why?
My manufacturer tried to steal our IP.
All right.
Yeah.
Take me there, because sometimes when we have these conversations, we share the moments, they can be shared in 4 seconds. But there's that reality of that context of in that moment of what that feels like, where you're like, I want to keep running this business, but let me just quickly go to court.
Yeah.
Take me there.
We knew what he was doing was wrong. And so the technical term is called springboarding of the IP. So basically we taught him the know-how. He was not a health food manufacturer. He was a confectionery manufacturer, but had the machinery we needed for the product. And it just seemed off for a while, and he actually told us what he was doing, but he thought he was doing, he wasn't doing anything wrong. And we sent a cease and desist saying, okay, don't do it. Then we found out he was doing it again. So we made the decision, okay, we need to go all in, because what sets us apart is our taste and texture. We've had our retailers try and knock off our product and sit the brand right next to us, and then it backfired because our product is really great. The taste and texture, and we spent so long trying to create these products and no one can do what we do. So we knew what we needed to do, but trying to find $500,000 when you're a startup is impossible. So I was working on my Instagram. We had to take loans out. We had to borrow off my father-in-law.
Wow.
And obviously for confidential reasons, I can't really say the outcome, but we didn't make the money back. So, no one really wins in any sort of Supreme Court, but we have our IP now.
Literally no one.
Literally no one except our amazing lawyers who got us the settlement. But yeah, it was very much, it was so disheartening because the amount of time that takes into going through subpoenas and stat decks and all of that sort of stuff, it was just soul destroying. And it really had such a huge impact on us as a business. And even, my partner in life, it was just so stressful. And then I was going through IVF and had infertility. It was just so much. It was such a horrible time for us to go through everything. And that was really the moment that we decided to bring everything in-house, because we were sick and tired of making other people money.
Keira, now I'm glad I unpacked that, because I am very fascinated by humans, and I'm like, as I see you talk about it, I can truly then feel that moment and feel that in there. And I think it's super important for people to hear that, because during that time, it's like the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But then on the hindsight, provided you stick through and push through, something beautiful comes of it.
Absolutely.
And clearly this has become part of your ethos, which is, okay, we create and manufacture, in our own facilities. What does that be able to mean for your business now that you've kind of grown past that moment?
It's been, and I'm a big believer, everything happens for a reason. And I know it sounds annoying hearing that, but every single one of my life challenges has happened for a reason, whether it be infertility, going to Supreme Court. It all serves its purpose. So for us, bringing everything in-house has been absolutely monumental for us as a business. And we were in financial hardship a year and a half ago, and now, an 8-figure business. So it's just mind-blowing. But without all of the learnings that we've had, we wouldn't be where we are. It just took us a lot longer to get there, but it's okay.
But it's the lessons in those moments. Those are the ones that they stick with us, and you can truly learn from. Like, even for someone listening today, they hear that and it's not going to be quite the same as really experiencing and going through it, that then can set you apart. We've kind of jumped this step. I would love to, for the people listening today, it's like, okay, I want to make that leap. Like, where did I even go to start? Like, bring me to the moment of, you went, okay, I think I want to do this. What are the dots I need to connect in order to start this business? Like, how much pre-thought did you go through? And if it's nothing, you can just say, not much, Frank. Share with me.
I even go back and think about, I built our first website. My partner learned how to do SEO. We are very much self-taught. And I think that that's what sets us apart to some people I see trying to start out in business today that are looking for an overnight success. I really dislike the whole hustle culture, but it was very much, we were hustling and working our asses off. I mean, a year and a half ago, my partner was sleeping at the factory trying to build it while I had a newborn at home.
Oh, Jesus.
We've worked our asses off to get where we are, and I still definitely sacrifice a lot. I barely see my friends. I speak to them on the phone, but I think it's about not the sacrifices, but I think it's about hard work and learning things yourself. And I think that's where I went wrong to start with, is I thought I needed to hire everyone. And even, having agencies do our meta ads, I had no idea what they were doing. So then how could I actually truly unpack that data and actually realize, okay, well, maybe what they're doing isn't actually making the business money. And I think it's just having that acknowledgement that sometimes you really need to learn how to do everything. And YouTube is a great place, or back in the day, it was a great place. TikTok's awesome. I learned so much stuff just by researching, and that's the way that I grow.
The part there that really resonates with me is the idea about knowing the detail.
Yeah.
Because if I look at the piece, which is, the meta ads through an agency, if you haven't done it, you don't really know what the benchmark of success is. So, for example, if it costs lots of money and you're getting some leads through, is that good? Is that bad?
Yeah.
If it's it doesn't cost much money, but you're getting nothing. Again, you don't have any concept, so therefore you don't know what is good and what is bad.
Yeah.
By at least knowing enough, I always just say in my business, like knowing enough to be dangerous. Then at that point where I'm like, okay, I've kind of I grasp it. Then people can step in, and then I know what good and bad looks like. I'm, for myself, I'm very aware that I'm not the best at it, but I need to at least know in order to be able to provide the best guidance forward.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a graphic designer, and I cannot do that for shit. But I think having a bit of an understanding of every inch of the business, even looking at the numbers. When we first launched, I was petrified to look at the numbers because I knew that they weren't right. And even just looking at the margins and all of that sort of stuff, I think from the outset, it was just all wrong. And for me now, I have to log in every single day. I fill out my spreadsheets. I, look at all the data. I look at the numbers. And even when we were going through financial hardship where we had $0 in the account and a huge loan, I was petrified to look at the numbers, but I forced myself to. And I think that's what really got us out of the hole.
Love that. You touched on something there, which is the graphics design. I said it to you when you walked in the room today because I'll only tell you what my truth is. Your brands are beautiful. There's no doubt in my mind. The details, the textures on the boxes, the foiling. It's a beautiful brand. Talk me through your way of thinking about creative when it comes to product creation.
I have a very creative brain. And we were talking about this before is, I never grew up thinking I was creative because I wasn't artistic. And creative is so much more. I mean, the product development is something that I love, and I constantly think about different products and different brands. And that's how, I ended up launching 3 beautiful brands because I'm constantly thinking about innovation and looking at things. Having a brand that represents a beautiful experience and beautiful journey for someone as a customer is really important to me. And don't get me wrong, having growth, we're facing our other issues where, we've got issues with delays and all of that sort of stuff, which we're handling. And that kills my soul because the customers aren't having a great experience. But even having an unboxing experience is really important to me, and having something that visually stands out on shelf. Because back in the day, being in a retailer was the world to me. And I thought, and it's still, great to be in retailers, but having that brand presence was really important to me. And having something that was beautiful on shelf is the way that you can get customers.
I love it. And what is like an unboxing experience? Like what does that mean to you? So I want to kind of get granular for the audience so they could be kind of contextualize. Okay, how could I take that piece of information and bring it to my world? Bring me to what are those little fine details that someone may not be thinking about that you've gone and employed into your brands? So
Habitual Beauty, which is my skincare brand, that launched after Krumbled Foods. Basically, when I was going through years of infertility and loss, I was hearing a lot of noise about this clean beauty movement. And I even had my embryologist say to me, what are you putting on your skin? What are you putting on your body? What's in your household? What's your toxic environment, environmental load look like? And that really got me to thinking, what exactly am I putting in my body? And I wanted performance, but I also wanted something that was clean. So that's how Habitual Beauty came about. And because it is a high-end skincare cosmeceutical range, I really wanted people to feel what they were buying was going to have that beautiful moment. So we've got embossing with a semi-gloss, so you can see a beautiful affirmation on one side, and just having a really beautiful thick stock. And it's just about having that premium, but that obviously comes at a cost. So it's about having that premium element, which is what I think we've got with all brands, but finding that commercial balance is really key.
Totally. And was your process quite long? And the reason I share that is because there are people who can, especially on their first business, get stuck on details when they don't yet know what details are important.
Yeah.
So, for example, you went through that first launch, and through the process of that launch, you learned what details were super important, right? Like, so you had, it's almost like a gut and intuition. I think the texture and the feel's wrong, but you launch, you got validation from the market, it ain't working.
Yeah.
And so now next time I know that's a critical element. But only like through that process, you get the feedback. So my question is like, how much detail and time did you spend on those pieces before launching to then kind of get the feedback from market? This is working.
Oh, so many iterations and formulations. So in terms of the packaging, we went through a lot. I remember I had a very specific color that I wanted for Habitual Beauty because the way that it sort of got fast tracked was I was part of the Sephora Accelerator program. So just after COVID hit, or just before COVID hit, I got selected to take part, one of 30 women worldwide to take part in this accelerator program. I was meant to fly over to San Fran. COVID hit, had to do everything by correspondence. It was Zoom. Then I went through IVF and all of that sort of stuff. So it was very much, I had all of this stuff going on. But one of the biggest things that we learn is, you know, how to create a premium brand, a premium product. But I think so back to the color idea, I had this very clear vision and I got 4 different samples, which obviously cost money to get samples of prototypes of the vessels, and none of the vessels were the right color. And I remember being devastated. And then I had to completely shift my mindset because I knew I had a timeline, because I had a literal baby inside of me that I had to launch the product before he was arriving. Anyway, that didn't happen. But yeah, what I chose was, it worked out well. And I think it's about having expectations then, but then also being okay if the expectations aren't met to a degree. It's that fine line.
Yes.
Yeah. Between, am I going to lose a shit ton of money if I hold the launch and get this right? Or what if this is right that I'm looking at right in front of me? So I think there's a lot of gut instinct too.
Totally. And like for the people listening, you know, gut instinct's really interesting because the longer you're in the game of business, the better and more strong the signals are from your gut. And a lot of that is built based on like stacking of evidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, like sometimes I, you know, kind of like at the start of the journey of sharing, you know, business insights on podcasts, I was like, you know, it's all about gut and intuition. And then I kind of sat back and went, oh, well, you know, when I was 20 years old and I was just making this shit up as I go, like my gut and intuition was not good.
Yeah.
But, you know, through that process, as long as you have kind of a way in which you kind of test and measure and go, it is, it isn't, you can stack on.
Yeah.
Let's shift to marketing. You know, so something you've touched on is, you know, in the beginning, really heavy retail.
Yeah.
And now, of course, you're in the e-com space. It's a beautiful game out there. You can, you know, if you crush it, you do well.
Yeah.
What are your core pillars that about marketing and some kind of learnings from that for the audience?
Point of difference. A lot of copycats out there and it grinds my gears. I think being able to be unique enough to stand out, education is key, and taking your customers along with the journey. So one of the biggest things is I've got my own social media following, and people have been along with the journey since from the beginning. And I think it's really important to be transparent to a degree and show the ins and outs of building the brand, building the products, and the why. They're really my biggest things. And the education is really important because all of the products we create is to make people feel better. And if someone is going for the newest brand that we've launched, Mini and Me, which is probably one of our busiest brands that we've got, if someone's reaching for that and we've got an electrolyte drink called Hydro Mama, if they are pregnant and feeling unwell, it's going to make them feel better to a degree. You know, if you're a burnt out mum or a dad or a human, electrolytes and hydration is going to make you feel better. So I think it's about trying to really bring it back to the why. Why are you making these products? Why are you making these brands? And why that people consuming them?
That's cool. And for education, is the education on those why pieces, or is the education from, like, I'm just trying to, I guess, contextualize the education piece again, so helping someone go, okay, this is how I can employ into my strategy?
I think you've got to look at who your customer is and what they will actually value as education.
Yes.
Because sometimes you don't have to be, these ingredients are really great for you because of X, Y, Z. It can be, you know, other things. So for instance, with the skincare, it could be ways to create hydration, not just in your skincare.
Yes.
I mean, that's just, I've pulled that completely from nowhere. But, you know, it's about trying to find the different elements that aren't necessarily just pushing your product, because if it's going to add value to the customer, you're going to create a loyal customer.
Yes.
And I think it's about, we're not necessarily sell. It's more about how to create that lifetime value of that customer.
I love that. The piece there that I think is really critical for everybody is if every time you do a post is around extracting value from the audience via I'm selling you something, it may work for a period of time, but at some stage you kind of exhaust the audience, and soon you're just seeing as a person who's like, I'm just taking. If you're, the education, to your point, was actually a good one. It's like, this is how you hydrate yourself. Hey, also, in another one, we have this thing. It's like, you don't need to use this. Here, I can teach you. And through that process, you're building trust and you're building confidence. And then, I've seen a few examples of this lately on social media where you see someone and you're like, there's like 7 stories back to back, and every one is a new product, and every product is the best thing ever. And you're like, surely, surely not. It surely can't be.
And people don't want to have someone selling to them 24/7. And so I guess we use our EDMs as a really great way to build that education. Perfect example. We've got mums as one of our biggest clients or customers. What to pack in your hospital bag? Yeah, sure, Hydra Mama will be in there, but what else?
Yes.
And that's the kind of key info that people, save or screenshot. And then that's the stuff that I really want to help, because I also want to help people.
Yes.
And so it's having those expectations that, sure, you'll want to sell, but through that growth of the customer coming along with the journey is really important.
Love that. What is the biggest impact that you want to leave in your kids?
I think it's so funny. We're actually talking about this last night, saying, do you think Hunter is going to want to work in the business? And I said, well, he might want to become an astronaut or a Formula One driver. Who knows? Or, he might want to become a plumber. Whatever he wants to do, whatever my daughter wants to do, I think it's about being able to give them the understanding that follow your passion and follow your dreams. Because I was told no so many times. People will see a blonde girl walking into a huge meeting and they won't take me seriously. But I think it's about using that to your advantage and using those stereotypes to your advantage. And I just want them to be happy. Like, I was listening to a podcast this morning and the girl said, I'd never wake up going, I've got to go into work. And that's what I want them to be happy. And that's the biggest thing. I've got such a huge history of mental illness and health issues that life is way too short to be unhappy.
I love that. And how do you, I often ask these questions about kids, right? Because as you know, you've heard me talk about Oscar and my little face lights up. Yeah. It's almost a selfish ask. The rest of the audience, I don't care. I want to learn more. Like, what's the practical application that you do day to day to instill this? And so I'll share something that I'm doing currently because it's something I got from my dad.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I'm so grateful and thankful for and absolutely lucky for and privileged in all the words is my dad used to say to me in his South African accent, which I won't put on, is like, Frank, you can be anything you want in this world, even if you want to be the president of the United States. Now, factually, that is incorrect. But it instilled the thing in me that, like, I can do whatever. And so, like, one of the things I'm like, my son's not really old enough to contemplate this, but, like, I literally, I'll say to him, Oscar, you can do whatever you want in this world. You are good enough, and I'll be here to support you every way. Yeah. He's still like, nah, bread. Yeah. But it's like I'm trying to create that, in him. Yeah. So like, what are the practical things that you're doing to be able to instill this?
And this is going to sound woo-woo, but affirmations. I am brave, I'm smart, I'm strong. I say that every single night, especially to my son because he's a little bit older now, but ever since he was a baby, every single night we used to have little affirmation cards. I think that. Because mental health is such a huge topic for me internally because it's something that I live and breathe every single day. I've got PTSD, I've got anxiety, I'm on antidepressants. It's something I'm so passionate about. I really want to just show my children that it's okay to not be okay, but it's also really important to talk about your feelings and your emotions. So I think it's just showing them that, it's okay if mummy is upset. And I think that it's something that's only now being started to be spoken about, especially with, the millennial parenting style and all of that sort of stuff. I'm very much a gentle parent.
All the great memes out there.
Yeah. No, let's not do that. Let's talk about our feelings. But I think it's just important to give them the encouragement, and the practical tips are just letting them be who they are. It's really beautiful. Parenting is just the best thing.
That's the best.
Yeah.
I do love it.
Yeah.
What about you, Keira? Like, what's the impact on this world? So, like, let's play a game, right, for a second. It's
Okay.
like, you know, it's 40 years from now and you're thinking back to the life you've had. Like, what are the things that you are most proud that you've been able to achieve?
Helping people, especially the newest product that we've launched, because it genuinely changes people's lives. So I got severe hyperemesis with both of my children. So I was pretty much incapacitated, especially with my daughter's pregnancy, where I'd be throwing up 30 to 40 times a day.
Wow.
And I was in hospital, highly medicated. I was suicidal. It was really, really dark. And I came up with the idea to start Hydra Mama when I was pregnant with my son. And I guess I wasn't drinking Hydra Mama 24/7 with my daughter's pregnancy, because we had leased out the factory and we're building the factory. So we didn't have product until right at the end of the pregnancy. So I wasn't really drinking it every day. And it wasn't until the end of the pregnancy that I started drinking it every day. And the amount of people that it's helped, it makes me so happy that I can actually help people. And, you know, even just people noticing a difference if they run out, and even if they're not pregnant, the hydration is so important right now. And the level of focus and brain fog that you can alleviate by just being hydrated, it's really important. And even Beauty Bites being, you know, diabetic friendly.
Why is that so important to you? Like, why is it important that you want to see this change in other people?
Probably because I've faced it myself and I felt so helpless and I couldn't find anything to help me. So I went and created something. I don't know. I feel good about helping people. I genuinely care about people, and I have suffered so much through my short time on this world that I really want others to not ever endure what I've gone through.
I love that. And I hope when I ask that question, it's not like, what do you mean, Frank? We all want to help people.
Yeah.
I like to unpack, you know.
Yeah,
I like to make sure we're getting to the core.
Yeah.
The last two questions I have for you, one is, you know, if I look kind of the journey you've been on and the multiple products, I kind of start to think about, you know, the future of Keira. I go, are there, you know, many more products on the horizon that you start to think of? How do you think of the right next opportunity? Because, you know, as the entrepreneur, sometimes everything looks like a nail when we've got a hammer of hammer of doing. Like, how do you think about choosing the right opportunity?
Ooh. I have a few new brands that I want to launch, but I think at the moment I really need to focus. And if I grow the portfolio of brands in Krumbled Group right now, I won't be able to give the other brands the attention that they deserve. So instead of launching brands, I'm launching products. But I always wanted to become like a good version of Nestle, you know, to have multiple brands within the Krumbled Group house. So yeah, I think just constantly innovating is my biggest goal. I get so excited hearing about ingredients and then, okay, they're not legal in Australia yet. Why not? Okay, well, they don't have enough research and evidence. Let's just track that. And so there are a lot of products that are finally becoming legal or on track to become legal in Australia. And I'm really excited to use them. We also want to get a bigger factory and build something, get a big block of land and build like a huge warehouse, because we are already at capacity. Wow. Which is scary.
Well, like, give me like, what's like a number of thousand of things that you're sending out in a week? Like, or hundreds or whatever the number is. Like, what is the number of units? Just so if I can kind of get a bit of a scale in my mind.
Yeah, you love these numbers, don't you?
I do. I'm a sicko.
You love these numbers.
I'm a terrible person.
Let's just put it this way: we've had a 1,600% year-on-year growth.
Yes,
and we have gone from.
I love that.
It's mental.
It's crazy.
Had financial hardship.
Yeah,
and now 8-figure business. It's just wild.
1,600. You've piqued my interest, Keira. Well done.
And it's just, with growth comes its own set of challenges. We were saying this before. We didn't think some of the products that we launched would be anywhere near as popular as they are. And so the machinery that we bought was what we thought would, be at, capacity, but not too much at the capacity. So we thought, okay, this will give us at least 2 to 3 years of the scale that we think. And within a few months, we were like, okay, we need to get a bigger machine. And so now our biggest issue is packing the products into the boxes. And so, buying machinery to be an automatic packing. And that is our issue at the moment. So I've had to put my foot on the slow the hell down mode because the warehouse are really struggling. So we're now trying to put in procedures in place. And, I've hired my mum, which I never thought I would do, to do customer service. Yeah. And I've hired my friend who used to be in sales tech, like tech sales, and now she's doing our HR. So it's about trying to really find that growth, but then finding the right people to help you grow.
I love that.
Yeah.
You can see I've just started smiling after 1,600%.
Yeah, I know. It's wild. I geek out on numbers. And we did this HBDI brain quiz and numbers, and they scare the shit out of me in terms of I would hate to be in a spreadsheet 24/7, but I actually ironically am in a spreadsheet 24/7. But I make my decisions based off the numbers.
Right.
So I'm very much in that blue space, but then very creative space. My actual output is shit. So I need a lot of people that are really good with output because I come up with all these ideas. I come into the office going, and then people are like, okay, yep, we'll do that all. Can you go into the office and shut the door?
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like 1,800% more.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Now I had just a great question that I was going to ask, but the numbers have just thrown me because I got too excited. Got it. I remembered. Everybody back on the edge of your seats. What is the key thing that you've learned from, when we start business, we're fundamentally a different person. Mm-hmm. And so our view into the world of business, like I'm going to start a brand and this is what business is going to look like. From what you thought business was to what you now know it is, what's the key things that are different?
It's really hard. We have issues every day. From people trying to steal your IP to, and I've never done this before. We've got a new product for Habitual Beauty that's launching soon, and I forgot to order the boxes. Little things like that. Oh shit! We found a typo on one of the boxes. Oh. It's actually a very funny typo though, yeah. And we're going to make a big play on it. But right. I think it's so much more challenging than anyone can ever imagine. And the stress is just monumental. But I think it's worth it if you've got that drive and that passion and you truly believe what you're going to do is amazing. And also it's hard to know when to give up because we were so close to giving up like 2 years ago. It was wild.
How close?
Like negative money in the account, huge loans, to the point where we had signed a lease for our factory. We were building. Our landlords are horrible to deal with, leaking roofs, damaged product. It's been to the point where, okay, well, I might have to go get another job to help fund this. We borrowed money off my father-in-law. My partner literally slept at the factory. It was so stressful.
What changed? Like what changed from that moment apart from, probably regaining some hair and being slightly less stressful? Like what did you do that then made this crazy impact in the positive direction?
We decided to go all in, and we just both looked at each other, my partner Anthony and I, and we go, well, what have we got to lose? We've already got no money. So I think we decided to go all in. We decided to give ourselves 2 years of like aggressive growth in terms of working our asses off while raising 2 small children. But I think we decided to take a chance and, manufacturing has been absolutely pivotal for us because we've been able to have the growth and scale to the point where we are today. If we were still contract manufacturing, it would be in such a different spot. But manufacturing has its own challenges.
Yeah.
I mean, my partner he's a butcher by trade and he's literally running machines and he spends all night just watching YouTube and he's just a geek with machinery.
I love that.
So I think it's just, we just went all in.
I love that. Last question for you, Keira. What has it meant to do it with Anthony?
Oh,
Not like that, guys. Come on. Do the business.
it has been it was really challenging to start because we were both trying to do the same thing. And once we started to take ownership into different aspects of the business, it was great. And being with him and having the business and raising the children, I can't imagine doing it with anyone else. And I think that some people wouldn't understand the sacrifices that we made. And so if I had a different partner, I don't think they would be able to understand the sacrifices. So I think, we kind of get each other. We never switch off, which is challenging. But it's been awesome. And for us to now celebrate some of these wins that we're having, it's great.
Your face absolutely lit up in moments of that answer. And I love that very
We also
much.
fight a lot. So
Hey, it's all part of it.
Yeah.
Keira, thank you so much.
Thank
This has been
you.
awesome.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.